Hi guys, welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, this is another hover video here. We're going to show you how to build a hover effect. In our last one we built this icon to text pop-up here. Today we're going to build this little tab to info pop-up there. Really easy to do. We've got to do a bit of coding for this today, but don't let that put you off. Any CSS I'll write I'll put down below the video and you're welcome to use it how you wish. Okay, well I've got this page open in Elementor here and we're using the free version for this today. Elementor is definitely one of the best free page builders there is out there. Okay, and the way these are working, like a lot of our hover effects, is we've got an image in the background of our column. We've got a column there. I've got a column in the middle as a buffer just for this demo and another column here. And then the actual pop-up text is just a text module that we're going to manipulate to pop up. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is add an image to our background column here. So I'm going to go into the column, the dark tab there. Let's go into style. Here's the background. Just going to click on the little paintbrush there if it's not already open for you, and it'll give you a little image option here. So let's choose an image. I guess I'll use the same one as I used before. Great. Now if this is your first column over here, you won't even see anything when you put that in there because there'll be no height, but it will be in there, so don't worry if that happens to you. Mine's all the way deep because it's inheriting the height from this one. While we're in here, we're going to give this a CSS class so we can target it with some CSS. So I'm going to go over to Advanced. I'm going to go down to CSS Classes. I'm going to call it tab P for tab pop-up. So our little column's got this name now and we can target it with some CSS. Great. Well, let's go to our little matrix and add a text module on top of it. There's the text module. And I'm just going to steal the text that we've got here. Dummy Lorem Ipsum text there. Going to go back into here. There we go. And I'm going to add more info at the top. Or whatever it is you want to say. And I'm going to separate that. But I want this to be center aligned here, the more info part. So I'm going to select it. It's a little toggle here if your alignment's not already up. And I'm going to align mine to the center there. Great. So we can't see a lot here, so let's give it a background. Go to Advanced. And here's our background here. Now normal, I'm just going to make it a simple black color. I'm going to hit the paintbrush there. I'm going to hit the little color. And I'm going to drag it down to black. Great. And let's make our text white so we can see it. So I'm going back to Style, Text Color, and make that white. Great. Okay, a couple of things here. I want to add some padding. Just lift that down a little bit from the top. I want to give this a little more space round. And we want to add enough padding at the bottom that it's going to cover the whole image. And I also noticed there we've got a bit of a border on our column there before the actual text part starts. So let's just go into the column, go over to Advanced. I'm going to get rid of any padding there, so I can just put a 0 in and the padding's all gone. And as you can see with the chain there linked, it'll do all 4 at once. Great. So let's go back in here. Let's go to the Advanced tab on here and give it a bit of padding. I just want a little bit at the top, so I'm going to uncheck the chain this time. I'm going to give it, say, 5 pixels on the top. Right and left, let's give it 50 pixels. And I want to give it a little more on the bottom as well. Let's give it 100 on the bottom. Let's push this down a bit and align this text to the center as well. I can't remember, did we have it? Yeah, we had it text center here. Yeah, so I just need a little bit more on the bottom of here. So let's say 200, that may be too much. That's fine, because what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to adjust the height of this column so that anything that comes down below a certain height will not be seen. So that's absolutely fine there. And I'm going to go back to my content here. I'm going to select all, Control A, and I'm going to make sure all of it's centered aligned there. There we go, fantastic. Now if you wanted to, you could add a bit more space, push that down a bit so it's a little more central. That's great. Okay, well let's start writing a bit of CSS here. And to do that, we want to give this a CSS class as well, and we'll use the class of, let's say, tabinfo, or TB for tab info. So now we can target this with some custom CSS. Now I'm going to update this. Now let's go over to our customizer, and to get to your customizer, if you don't know, let's just get out of here. We're going to go down to dashboard. We're going to go down to appearance and customize, and this is common to most WordPress themes. And down at the bottom here, we're going to see additional CSS. Now, if you're working on a page which is not your home page, you might want to flip it temporarily to being your home page in the home page settings here. Just go to home page settings, static page, and choose the page you want. You can always switch it back when you're done editing the CSS. Mine is the front page, so that's not a problem. So I'm going to go into additional CSS, and this is where we're going to write our code. Okay, the first thing is I want to make our column a fixed height of 400 pixels, which is the same as our one next door. And we gave it the class of tabp, so it's dot for a class, tabp. And don't forget, don't have to follow this in real time or copy it in real time. I'll put all this code below the video. So the first thing I'm going to do is say height 400 pixels. Great. So that's made this tab 400 pixels, although the text that's on top of it is spilling out of it, as we can see here. So to stop that, I'm going to add another line. I'm going to say overflow colon hidden. And as you can see, it's stopped at 400, and anything that was below there is now hidden, which is great. Okay, so that's our column taken care of. Now I want to change our text widget here. I've got to push it down all the way to the bottom, so we just see the little tab there. And I want to squish it into the middle. So let's do that. Now we gave it a class of tabinfo or tbinfo, so we'll say tbinfo, open and close some curly brackets. Okay, well we know this is 400. I know I've got 5 pixels there, that may be 16 or 20 pixels. So let's try pushing it down by 350 or so and see where that takes it. So I'm going to say margin top, say 350. And as you can see, that's pushed that down a bit. It's not quite enough for me. I want to push it down a bit more. Let's try 360. Yeah, that works. Now that's going to be a nice little effect on its own, but I actually want to bring it in so it's more like a tab. And to do that, let's give it some margin left and right. We could give it a width, but I'll give it some margin left and right. So I've got to put a semicolon there. When we write code, it's always a good idea to put a semicolon after each line. If there's only one line in there, you can forget it, but it's a good idea to put one on every one, because if you forget to put one of those on when you write the next line of code, it won't read it. Okay, so let's start with margin left. And let's give it, say, 30%. That'll be 30% of the width of the element there. So colon 30%. Okay, as you can see, that's pushed it 30% there. Let's do the same on the right and see what we've got. Again, I'm going to put a little semicolon. And for expediency, I'm just going to copy this, drop down one, and change that to right. Yeah, that's okay. Leave it like that if you want. Ours is a little skinnier here, so let's up that to perhaps 35. It's broken our word in half there, so let's try 33. There we go, we can see everything there. The reason it's broken it in half is because we've got that padding either side of our text there. So that'll work for me, that's fine. Now when we hover over it, I want it to be all the way back up here, and I want to see everything. So what I'm going to do is I'll copy this tbinfo, drop down a couple, and we'll create the hover state. Right after the O of info, no space, colon, and then no space again, hover. And we can create a hover state. Open and close some curly brackets. Now when it's hovering, I don't want any margin on there at all. I want it to be up at normal place. So no margin top, no left, no right. So I'm going to say margin 0. And let's see what happens when we hover over it now. Fantastic. That's popped it up there. And when we hover over the picture, nothing happens, but you've actually got to hover over the element itself, the text module, before it'll pop up. That's great. It's happening a little bit too quickly for me. So let's just slow it down slightly so it's more of a subtle thing like that. To do that in the regular state, not the hover state, I'm going to add a transition duration, which will give it a time. And let's say perhaps 1/3 of a second, 0.3 seconds. So let's try that. Now you may not see this until we get out of the builder. Oh, that's working. That's fine, great. Well, that's doing what we want it to do, but when it's up on top of the picture, I want to see some of the picture behind it. So we've got all our code nicely written here that's going to make everything work. So let's save this, publish it. Now let's go back to our page with the Elementor open. And we can actually refresh this page now. And now we've refreshed the page. As you can see, we've got everything as it should be. Now just to make that a little bit more transparent so we can see the car behind it just when it's up like that, we'll keep it that way when it's down like that. Let's go into the module itself. And we're going to go to advanced and again down to background. And you'll notice up here we've got a normal and a hover. Normal I'm going to leave just like it is. Hover, I'm going to make the background black again. But I'm going to take the opacity down, this little slider down here, so we can see through it. Probably about 50%. Want to be able to read that text well though. Yeah, that's fine. I think you can read everything perfectly there. So we're good to go. Let's update and preview our changes. And there we go. There's our little tab to info pop-up, or image with tab to text info pop-up. And that's a nice little feature. And of course you can apply those classes to any other tabs that you've got there. So I hope you found that useful today and enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.